Good morning, Antrim County. This is Veterans Voice Podcast with your host, Brandon, Carrie, and Matt. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
Hey. Well,
It's been cold.
Yeah.
yep. It's cold out there, and there's like a mountain of snow
Yeah.
in the parking lot right now.
Those
Well,
are-
a lot of parking lots have huge. They'd be so fun to build caves in as a kid. Like, man, I'm kind of jealous.
The kids
Yeah.
ain't even been out there doing that.
Yeah, it's too cold. I remember doing that as a kid, though. We'd go to the nearest, like we had a church in our neighborhood like a block away, and they'd just leave that big snow pile, and we'd all build a big old snow cave in it.
Right?
Yep.
Like little holes.
Yep.
Or,
We'd all add to it here and there. Yep.
heck yeah.
Yeah, so what are we going to talk about today?
Duh.
About, we got some things. So
Well, it's Carrie's show today, so.
I'm in charge. Yeah, I just wanted to bring up disabilities that you already have rated. So if you're a veteran with rated disabilities, say you got 10 or 20% on, say, your knees or whatever it is, if that condition has gotten worse over time and it's been a few years, you can file for an increase. Now, unless you're afraid that it's going to affect, if you have a higher rating or if you don't want to mess with it, because they do reevaluate everything and they can attempt to bring down ratings on some things that you already have. But if you really feel like you're doing worse with anything you have rated, you can always have it reevaluated. Hopefully get an increase. Say you're sitting at 20%, you're not getting a with dependent rate, your knee's getting worse. I mean, of course, you have that covered through VA healthcare, that knee if it's service connected. But say you're not rated for your hip and your back, which also those are often affected by your, if you have knee problems and stuff. So you can go and try to get it increased. And then you could even try to do a secondary for your back if your back has gotten bad because of that, if your doctor believes that that's a cause. So just something to pay attention to. And then remember, once you hit 30%, you get with dependent rate. And then once you hit 50%, you're completely covered by VA healthcare. So just something to know about that we know because we do this job, but you might not know. And it might be really helpful. And it is about what you need. So don't feel bad about trying. If your conditions are worsening, whatever they may be, go ahead and look at talking to a VSO or do it yourself on your va.gov. But
Carrie's coming out swinging. I mean, she's straight to business.
Mm-hmm.
had caffeine.
Is that what it is?
I think we're all
Yeah.
highly caffeinated.
Yeah.
Yep.
That better not be pre-workout either.
It is. That's
Mine-
what I told y'all.
That's what mine was.
Y'all about to ride the dragon.
Yep.
Oh,
All right.
So-
So
Yeah. With that being said, it all depends. And when you're going for like a secondary condition, we really got to be able to have a nexus to be able to connect it
yeah.
and show exactly how it's affecting you, So yeah, it is very possible, and then each body system has a certain rating, right? And often you'll see vets that are coming in here, like you were saying, that just don't know.
Yeah.
And they got their initial rating and they may be rated at 10%, but then, it's been 10, 12 years and that condition's
Yes.
constantly gotten worse because in life, nothing gets better.
And then
you know?
often these are the ones that don't want to complain about it and they're hurting visibly.
Yeah.
And then boom, they get taken care of, And
Yeah, because they're getting the health care for it, right? They're getting the
Right.
treatment for the actual condition. And although
Yeah.
they're getting treated and the condition is getting worse, they're not following up on the benefit side of the house, which then
Right.
could raise their rating, like you were mentioning, which would then also bring in some more compensation.
Yeah. And I mean, for example, like I've seen at least a couple veterans that, they're hurting. They can't sit down. They're in so much pain. I mean, these aren't necessarily older people, and they're just trying to take care of their family. It's hard for them to work. They are getting taken care of by VA healthcare. They get, a certain percentage, but I've had one that, finally his wife was just like, let's go. And, it's great to see when the spouses really fight for their husband or wife. That's, they speak up for them, and I swear that's why this guy got 100%. He was, long due for it, I think.
More
That's
often
my
than not,
opinion.
it is the spouse that brings them in,
Yeah.
kicking and screaming.
Taking care of their spouse, it's a great thing to see. So, yeah, listen to your spouse if they're telling you.
Right? Absolutely.
Just try and ask questions.
And that's what disability benefits are for, is because it's, you incurred an injury during service,
Yeah.
And you're no longer able to, perform certain things, due to that injury, which means there's days that you just can't work, maybe work, or you can't do the best at your job or anything like that. And it's to help supplement that income, So,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a huge thing. But every time we do open a claim, there's a little bit of risk involved.
Yep.
And that's why, getting with a VSO to check on what your disability ratings are, in, what that risk would entail, or how high that is, or anything like that. Because every time you open a claim, let's say you go for that increase, it's not just that one disability that your file for that the VA can look at. At that point in time, all your disabilities are back on the table for them to either request a new CMP exam or anything like that, to see if they've gotten worse or if they've gotten better, those conditions.
Yeah.
With that being said, too, your effective date changes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been rated for 10% for diabetes, and you've held that rating for, let's just say 20 years, right? And your condition's gotten worse, so you go for an increase, you now have a new effective date if that gets increased, or,
Mm-hmm.
The clock turns over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right back to zero.
Yep. So, why is that important? Because you have your 5 and 10 and 20-year rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all remember what those are?
I know 20 is protected. Ish.
Yeah,
If
it's it's the most protection you can get. Period.
But if you have a static disability, that means it stays. Like they can't necessarily lower it.
Well,
Right.
that's not necessarily true either. So static just
But-
means that they're not going to schedule a future exam to look
Right,
at it.
okay.
That the VA acknowledges that this condition probably is not going to get better.
Right.
So they're not going to schedule a future exam
Mm-hmm.
for it. So at 5 years, once you've held a rating for 5 years, right, the VA they have to go for somebody who has at least the equal qualification of the person that originally looked at you. So your first comp penny val, when you went there, if that was a nurse practitioner, or excuse me, if that was a doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
After 5 years, if they were to ask for a reevaluation, they couldn't send you to a nurse practitioner. They'd have to meet the same qualifications as the person who originally rated, right, or did the comp penny val. At 10 years, when she held that rating for 10 years, they have to find somebody with a greater qualification, So if it was a doctor, they'd have to find a specialty doctor,
Okay.
to be able to propose a reduction or anything like that. And then at 20 years, the only way you're really going to get reduced is if it was through fraud. you become protected at that point in time. It's the same thing as like the 55-year rule. You know, if you're 55 years and older, it's more of it's harder to be reduced, supposedly. So, but no rating, whatever, you know, whether you're 100% permanent total, whether you are at that 20-year rule, nothing is absolutely safe.
Yeah.
You know, now they're not just going to come take it away or anything like that, so don't get that wrong. But, you know, you're still subject to VA rules. So,
yeah, that stuff can get really confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
the likelihood changes is what it is.
yeah, and I mean, I get why it's kind of frustrating sometimes, but it is to kind of keep everybody being honest, I guess. But I mean, usually there's not a question, you know.
Yeah.
But I can see why they do it.
More often than not, whenever somebody files a claim for increase or just a new disability claim after they already have an initial rating, what I see happening more often is they combine ratings.
Yeah.
So, person who is service connected for PTSD, migraines, you know, files for a TBI, they'll join that migraine with the TBI, you know, and that's like the get around for the VA as far as like keeping people maintained at a certain rating level.
Yeah.
Now, there is medical evidence that says that TBIs cause migraines, and that's where they get to be able to do stuff like that, you know. But doesn't necessarily mean that the migraine came from the TBI, right? So,
Right.
I guess in a way, like, I mean, I've told some veterans this too. It's if you're starting off with a claim, FDC, fully developed claim, is always a really good thing to do. You have all the evidence submitted with everything that you're trying to claim. I would think that'd probably be a better thing to, if you're going to do your claims, get all the evidence you need for all the things you're claiming and get them done in one full swoop, you know? Yeah, if you got to get you know, you're asking for more on a disability a couple of years later or something like that, and there's proof that it has gotten worse, absolutely. But I think it'd probably be better for the veteran to get that whole claim in and get all the stuff that they know that they're wanting to claim done and over with. It kind of prevents having to reopen the claim for multiple, because we've had that happen where we've had one of our older veterans that did his own claim.
Oh, yeah.
Came back and we ended up doing the rest of his claim or whatever, but we put stuff in and thankfully I don't think anything ever happened with it, which is great. But he ran the risk of, by open up a single claim every single time, you're going to eventually, the VA is going to be like, okay, now what's going on? You know, they have things set into their software that if somebody's completely putting in one every year for 4 or 5 years or something like that, I mean, it's going to kind of flag them.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want.
Yeah.
It's like tiptoe.
Yeah. And I think too, like putting them all in at once, even if you don't have everything gathered, maybe if you want to get them all in, you can always do a supplemental if you have other evidence that you just can't get a hold of or something, or if they're asking, you can hopefully have time to get that stuff.
Yep.
Then you don't have to wait and do a new one.
You can always protect yourself as well, you know. If whatever disabilities are rated, you know, make sure you're being seen for those disabilities, that they're being noted through your care, you know, so that way you can show continuity.
Yep.
In that, you know, I'm not saying that anybody should go and just be seen to be seen because it's there, you know what I'm saying? But let it known that if you're being bothered by these conditions, you know, on a, you know, any kind of basis, whether it's weekly, daily, you know, monthly, that way, if the VA ever did bring a propose to, you know, for reduction, you know, you have medical evidence showing how that condition and how often that condition is affecting you.
Yeah.
Well, it's like sinusitis claims.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've done a claim where, guys come in, they're from Iraq or Afghanistan. It's a presumptive condition of the PACT Act. You definitely have sinus issues or whatever, wants to claim it, does not have it in his files at all whatsoever
Not
with
even
the VA.
diagnosed once.
No
Yeah.
nose spray, no nothing.
Yep.
Get in there, get seen. You need continuity of care.
Yeah. And
That's a major thing.
Yeah, not going to the doctor when you're having a problem is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to do a VA claim. Yeah.
The hard claims I've been seeing more often than not nowadays is Navy claims.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's a Marine on a Navy boat or if it's a Navy personnel, it doesn't seem like the tracking is always there. So the VA will come back and be asking that, we acknowledge that you served, but we can't find that you served on this certain ship during this certain period at this certain location or anything like that.
Yeah.
So those have been the challenging ones.
Yeah.
Because darn well they were there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can track the boat, but it's not,
Yeah.
it seems like where it comes down to the personnel on that boat during that time, kind of gets skewed somehow or another.
Well, trying to find deck logs, especially like you're talking not World War II, but Korea, Vietnam era.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Navy is great as far as heritage and as far as deck logs and everything else, but where are they? You got to find those.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest problem. I mean, it's easy to find cruise books, but all day long, but that still doesn't prove that you were there for that period of time or whatever, It's stupid.
It fascinates me. And we were just talking about, National Guard and reserves,
Oh,
and the difficulty getting some of their conditions service connected just because it's not tracked like
Right.
it would be in the service,
Yep.
And many times while they're, doing their exercise, their 2 weeks or their week in a month or whatnot, or training, wherever, they're asked to not go to the doctors during that period, to go
Right.
during their
When they're
off
off.
time
No.
or whatnot. Well, then there's no LOD, there's no treatment records while they're on those, exercises or anything like that, or, training weekends. And trying to prove that to the VA, that incident happened in service,
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, this isn't stuff that gets told to them prior to,
Oh, yeah.
going in or,
Right.
or while they're in and everything
Yep.
like that, So that's another difficult section.
I feel like the reserves, the National Guard, they're vastly underserved when it comes to that.
Oh, it was,
Chain of command does not keep
It's
track
terrible.
of anything. Going to regular hospitals, and then
oh,
you
yeah.
got to think sometimes these guys have been out for more than 10, 15 years. Well, hospital records
are
only cover,
gone.
what, 10 maybe years?
20 is the most.
Yeah,
but
and that's
they're just
a
gone
rarity.
immediately. Yeah,
So-
at that point.
Basically, it's just a wash. Sometimes you can't find any of this stuff, and how can the poor guy claim it, if he doesn't have any kind of evidence whatsoever?
Yeah, I definitely have
fair.
no records of medical care when I was in the Guard after I was active duty. And then, Guard, like, I had so many issues with my sinuses, and I got really sick a couple times and had to find a doctor off base that would accept my insurance. It was really tough. Yeah, I have no clue like where any of those are.
You were working on a difficult case as well with a old coastie.
Yep, that's
Right?
right. Yep.
I think they fall right along the kind
Oh.
of similar lines just because they're not DOD. They
Yeah.
are.
Right. Yeah.
This
Homeland.
one too, he was in during Vietnam time frame.
Oh, wow.
And retired from Coast Guard. Also at several duty locations, ended up at Army hospitals, at off-base hospitals, just city hospitals based on wherever he was at the time.
Holy crap.
Because Coast Guard does not have their own medical like hospital
Facilities and
like,
stuff.
their facilities. Yeah, like there is not a hospital on the Coast Guard base in Traverse City, for instance.
Oh, wow.
And if they're stationed there, they go off to Munson or whatever, and have, those records
All
are
civilian
not,
care.
they're not transferred over to their medical records like any other service would get. So basically, I had to write what he said and base it on when he got treated, and there were some things that I could kind of connect it to, but it's tough. We're still waiting on some of that stuff to see what happens. It's frustrating for that person, and they don't understand how it works, but it's really, keep all like if you're in at all in any service, keep a file with your medical records if you go anywhere. I wish I would have.
Yeah, when you ETS, you have to clear out of all these facilities, right?
Yeah.
Now you may not get to hand carry a copy of your medical records, and if you do, typically they're sealed.
I did that.
Right.
Yeah.
I've done it one time, but it was put in an envelope that said if you broke the seal, it's no longer good for them or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But if you go to the medical facility, you can ask to copy
that's
your
what
medical
I did.
records. Now, I don't know how it is nowadays with
Yeah.
the electronic system they have
Yeah, everything.
They get them on CDs now, or
per
so
duty
they did.
station. So, because if you get a person who's been
know.
in for over 10 years, they've had at
Yeah.
least 2 or 3 different duty stations.
That might have been an NPRC request that I've seen someone get, where they had all their records put onto a CD or a disc or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now they might do it differently.
That's another thing that kind of bugs me is the NPRC, the new style nowadays.
Oh,
We used to be able to get on and request it easily for the service member and stuff like that, but now they want the ID me, and I'm not attaching that to my personal ID me, even if it is an office. You know what I'm saying?
right.
You can get a professional account. but
Yeah,
I don't think we need to be a part of that.
right. They used to just let you request it, with our organization and everything, and that the POA, the 2122, just download the copy, and then now they don't.
Yep. Now we have to do it through an SF 180 and fax that in.
Yeah.
Which is a slower processing method for them.
Yeah. It's like, so we're reverting back to faxing
Mhm.
when we had an online way, and they're trying to make it more like easier or technology savvy. But the veterans often don't know how to do that. And especially when they're 80 years old, they
I
don't,
know.
like, I'm not using a computer.
VA's looking
It's like, come on.
ahead to the future, and I get it, you know what I'm saying? But we
They're
still
leaving
have got
people.
those who are not,
Yeah.
technically inclined.
Yeah. And they don't
who's-
want to be.
don't even have an email.
They're like, nope.
They want that face-to-face interaction, which I can't blame them. I'd rather have
Yeah.
a face-to-face interaction, period.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, now that I've gone through a few different tangents on it, but the biggest thing is just make sure you guys, if you can, keep those records, especially if you're in the Reserves Guard or Coast Guard, where you're seeing civilian facilities, or you're not necessarily your records don't follow you as well.
Yeah.
Just a
Very
big thing too.
important.
I would also say to anybody who's active duty listening to, somebody tells you to suck it up, buttercup. Don't. Go get seen.
Yeah, do it when you can. Like,
If I'd have known that I was just a human being and I could just go to the medical facility and do it and get it done, I would have done it. But ostracizing people because they're sick or they're hurt, I mean, I swear that was the biggest thing. I mean, each branch is different, but I know in the CVs we were constantly told to stop being limited duty all the time, or if you keep being limited, you're not going on deployment. It was always like they were threatening your career basically for being sick, or I don't know how many times I've been like throwing up at company spaces or had diarrhea or whatever, and of course you just got to suck it up. Don't do it.
Yeah, especially when we go on like field training exercises and stuff like that, and as simple as it is, even if you just twist an ankle and you get it wrapped up by the medic, you don't necessarily need to be seen in those eyes, right? Because you're going to constantly perform your mission and keep going.
Yep.
It needs to be documented because you never know what comes from that. And we are all young at that point in time, and it's such a small thing to us then, you know. But the older we get, we know darn well, you know, those things don't go away. They get worse.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened to my back. When I tried to claim my back and they denied it, I knew I had a back injury when I was in Romania. And I know the exact doc that took care of me. He was from Michigan himself. So we were good friends and stuff. And I thought that he had documented that stuff, that I pulled my back just as we started running. There was like a 3-mile run or whatever. And I went to go take off and I pulled something or whatever. And I was like hunched over for like 2-3 weeks, close to it or whatever.
Jeez.
Had a back brace and everything else on it. And then now I've had back problems ever since then.
Yeah.
But nothing was documented. I'm kind of like looking at this doc like, what the heck, you know?
Yeah.
You're in charge of 17 other people, and you couldn't even write that down in my, stuff.
Yeah.
But I should have took the due diligence to take a look to make
don't
sure,
think
hey,
about
doc,
it
was
then.
it documented? Nope.
Well, hindsight, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I will say too, keep your orders. If you have orders to go on deployment, keep your travel voucher copies. You're not going to get those in your file. I kept all mine. Some of them are pretty old, but yeah, keep them because that's proof that you went where you went.
I love me books.
Yep.
You know?
It's true.
Yeah, I just have a huge file where I kept everything. And I mean, if you have those orders, if you have those TDY papers that show, your travel pay, that helps too. And also there should be, like, if you ever want to look at your LES, leave an earnings statement, it'll show when you received hostile fire pay, for example. So that's another way to prove that you were somewhere, especially like Navy. If you were in a certain location, you should have received hostile fire pay for being in those type places. That would be helpful. So, just suggestion for anybody who is still in.
Did you guys ever look at those travel orders now after being out all these years and try to read it?
Oh, yeah.
With all everything
Teeny
shortened
tiny
and
print.
abbreviated and everything else, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what the heck this is.
Yeah. Had to read
Acronyms.
those a lot.
Acronyms you can't remember anymore, but you used to, like it was like the Bible.
Yep. Or you transition into a different field, and the acronym that used to mean something means something completely different now.
Yeah.
You know?
One thing I wish the Muggles would understand, SOP, Standard Operating Procedure. There should be one for everything, but not in the real world. There really isn't. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. DFAS is another bug. We had issues with a couple of retirees, trying to help them out with the transition to with their retirement pay and stuff like that. Some of, like you were mentioning, Navy Federal and USAA have been difficult to be working with or something like that.
Yeah, DFAS, our veteran that I just dealt with, that we faxed that stuff into DFAS for, or fiduciary or whatever it was. The lady that was working for DFAS even told him that USAA and Navy Federal are the worst two banks to deal with when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he goes down the road to Alden State Bank, and within like 20 minutes, they got it all set up for him, and they're like, yeah, no problem.
Nice.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just specific to that case or if it's
right.
I just know what we've experienced or our vets have experienced to come in and ask for help with.
Or like changing direct deposit was what we had trouble with one that they said you need to do it by this date or we're going to stop sending your checks. Well, they stopped sending them even though he'd done what he was supposed to right away back in June.
Yep.
And then, older veteran, he's not doesn't want to get on the computer and do stuff. So basically we found the thing online to send in, hey, I want to change my direct deposit and kind of flagged it. So then he got mailed some stuff. It's like you shouldn't have to do all this, but yeah, it's got figured out eventually, but it's frustrating.
It is a frustrating process.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for us too, because we want to be able to help you out, but we don't have access to that kind of stuff, DFS and everything.
It's a learning process and
yeah, we only have a certain amount of tools that we work with
and time.
DFAS and retirement's hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys
do what
made
we
me
can though.
You guys made me think about the Coast Guard today. Now you were talking about them.
Yeah.
the fact that they don't have like a hospital facility or anything
Yeah.
like that. Do they have corpsmen? Like docks?
I don't think typically they do.
Because they stole everything from the Navy, ranks and, I mean, not the uniforms completely, but the rank structure is pretty much the same as the Navy jobs. They have the same jobs as us and everything else, but I've never seen a
You know,
Coast Guard corpsman.
I had one that where did they send him? I'm trying to think. This was a different Coast Guard member that he got injured on duty, but there was no records of the incident or at the one Coast Guard station, which is super small. But he did see a medical person at his main base 3 hours away when he got back to it.
Good Lord.
But there's no records about it.
Imagine that.
But it definitely happened. And then they even gave him a 10% for a rash, but it's like, it's just weird. I don't know what the purpose of that person was. Why is he seeing them if they're not keeping records?
Yeah,
I-
for sure.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
I think it's a good show. Appreciate everybody tuning in and listening.
Yeah, we're going to be, we'll be having some newer episodes coming up where we're going to have some people coming in. We're still looking at a couple ideas. I'm trying to, hopefully if he's listening to this, the infamous Josh O'Brien from out on the West Coast. He's I wouldn't say world famous, but he's a pretty famous CB that runs, he doesn't run it, but he's actually one of the comedians out at the Laugh Factory. So hopefully he's going to be coming in here in the next couple months if he decides
cool.
to come up to Michigan. And then we
When
got
it gets warm, thaws out.
yeah, I don't blame him. He's an Ohio guy, actually, originally, I think so.
Yeah.
It's not too bad, but this summer we should have him coming up and some other things in the pipeline, so stay tuned for that. And
Yeah, but advocate for yourself,
Yeah.
for your claims and for your medical stuff.
I also wanted to say thanks to a couple of our Facebook followers again. The network we're building is it's amazing. We had a couple of vets that again needed help either plowing or with small housework kind of stuff, and we've had ample response.
Yeah.
Via Facebook and them calling the office in order to, help those veterans out. So,
Yeah.
guys, if you're listening, thank you all for being willing to do that. And then even putting giving us your number, the office your number. So in case something like that happens again, we could reach out directly.
oh yeah,
So, again, thank you guys for caring so much about our community of vets and being willing to do something about them.
yeah. I mean, tell you the network. What was it? That was Friday, right?
I mean, it's been over a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So over the last couple of weeks, but we had one just last week where I put it on Facebook. I'm not lying. I cannot make this up. Within 5 minutes
Yeah, they're
of
fast.
that being posted, I already had one guy. I'm already out. I'm on the way.
Yep.
And then we had like three or four. Can't speak English. 3 or 4 phone calls, and then you had one too, where people are like, "Hey, do you need help?"
I feel like
So-
every time we do, it's fast.
Yeah,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
that's all on you guys. Thank you so much for doing all that. I don't know, we wouldn't have the network we wouldn't have if it wasn't for you. So
Yeah.
I think I said that right.
Yeah, you got through it.
I got
So,
through it. So
And yeah, we did have a woman come in and ask about her son that's she's not a veteran or anything, but had a question about how do you get support for someone that's lost a limb.
oh yeah,
And all these people responded when I put something on Facebook. I have to call her back and give her all these resources. So
there's a
I mean,
lot on
we
there.
like to help however we can. So it's good that everybody responds like that.
Yep. Well, on to the next episode. We will see you guys next week.
take care, guys.